and I realized how much I like to make movies real. Rather than make movies real. And my favorite is The Matrix.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive State podcast. I'm your host, Dr. V, triple board certified MD and performance and longevity expert. And on this episode, I have a really special guest introducing a very special treat. What if you had a pill that could take away a physical ailment, or a pill that can gain you more confidence, a pill that can take away anxiety, a pill to bring love into your life, a pill to bring you abundance in health, wealth, finances, and everything you want in life? And what if I told you that pill is the same pill and there's nothing in it other than brown rice powder? Today, we'll be talking to the founder of the Xpill, Robbe Richman. He's actually somebody that I met back in the biohacking conference a couple of years ago. And I was just enthralled that people were getting these transformational experiences from taking a placebo. It just goes to the power of understanding mind, body, emotions, spirit, and knowing that everything is energetically connected. And if you can have the power of intention with what you're doing, even in the placebo, you can achieve transformational results. Dr. Joe Dispenza actually has a book called You Are the Placebo. And really the idea behind the book is that through our beliefs, through our intention, through our focused energy, we could create the world that we want. It's probably also the reason why this Xpill has had such transformational results for so many different people, as you'll hear on this podcast. Beyond the Xpill, Robbe Richman is also an expert in creating culture in organizations. What exactly is culture, and how do you actually instill culture to a group of people? All this and more on today's podcast. And before I introduce my next guest, let me just ask you to do us a favor if you found this podcast to be very helpful. If you're enjoying the content here, what will help the podcast grow is going to ratethispodcast.com/thrivestate and leaving a 5-star review. And if you haven't already, pick up 3 free chapters of my book by going to thrivestatebook.com, leaving your email, and we'll send you the PDF of the 3 most important chapters of the book. And finally, if the work is really resonating with you and you want to discover how to get into the Thrive State quicker, please go to kienvu.com/accelerator and take the Thrive State Accelerator. It's the online course I use with my clients to get them into the Thrive State. Use the code podcast25 for 25% off. And now more about our next guest. He's a good friend of mine, mentor as well. His name is Robbe Richman. He was a culture strategist at Zappos and the author of The Culture Blueprint, a systematic guide to the high performance workplace. Robbe co-created Zappos Insights, a Zappos subsidiary educating companies about the secrets behind Zappos' amazing employee culture and world-class customer service. He took the proof of concept from a small website to a multi-million-dollar business, teaching over 25,000 students every year. As one of the world's authority in employee culture, Robbe is sought after keynote speaker at conferences around the world, and they hire him to teach culture in person in companies such as Google, Toyota, Westin, Genentech, Salesforce, Anthem, Bridgestone, and Eli Lilly. And again, he's also the creator of the Xpill. If you've ever seen the movie The Matrix, it's a take on taking the blue pill. And it's really the activation of intention to anything you want in life. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming this conversation with Robbe Richman. Can you talk to me about how you came up with the concept of the Xpill?
Yeah, it started off almost as a joke. I was a film student and I love movies, and I realized how much I like to make movies real. Rather than make movies real. And my favorite is The Matrix. And I thought, why can't the red pill be real? And I didn't have any red pills, and all I could find was red Tic Tacs, but I put them in prescription pill bottles to make it like an experience. And I did a label and everything. And I took them to the land of make believe called Burning Man. And I told people I have the red pill from the Matrix, and people freaked out and they swallowed it and would have these big ahas and all these interesting experiences. People were literally following me through the desert to get these pills. And then when I got home a few weeks later, I got a call from a woman who said, "Hey, are you the one with the red pills?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" She said, "Well, do you have more of those bottles that you gave everyone?" I said, "Yeah, why?" She said, "Well, can you send them to me?" "Yeah, but why?" And she said, "I'm a psychologist and I've been giving them to my patients and they're having huge breakthroughs." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this isn't just for Burning Man. This is real." And that's when I started a whole slew of experiments I then got red vitamins and then started working with people beyond just taking it for knowing reality, like in the Matrix, but for setting intentions.
Can you describe what that activation is and what you're trying to get out of the person before they take that pill?
Yeah. So it used to take an hour and a half. And then I realized I could do it in 10 minutes after refining the process. And what's needed first is a clear intention. So there's 3 requirements to go into the process that I realized that makes it go really, really quickly. Those 3 things are: you have to have a clear intention. You can't go into I'm thinking of this, thinking of that. That'll take hours and hours. So a clear intention. B is willing to take full responsibility. So that means you're taking it, and I tell people that anything can happen. And I explain the stories in advance. It might not be what you want. Are you willing to take 100% responsibility? Because there's nothing in this pill. So you can't blame the pill. You can't blame me. So second is taking full responsibility. Third is there a sensation in your body? If I show you the pill and you start to feel something rising, that's your body activating and signaling, and it's very unique per person. So for example, I did it with this group of older women who were retired, and they were so dedicated to their families and their husbands that the idea of taking this pill for their happiness, something that I would have no sensation for, I'm like, yeah, so it's happiness. They had felt so nervous about what might happen if they focus on their own happiness. And their sensation was completely nervous in their body, right? So that was their body signaling them, I'm ready. So those 3 things are required to enter the process. And then it becomes actually pretty quick. What I do is I just say, okay, let's get through that feeling. Let's breathe through it and ground it. Make sure you want to do this because absolute choice is necessary. And then I ask them, what do they want? Why do they want that? What's it going to give them? What's the emotion that's coming up? And to really solidify it, I ask, what's the movie scene? Again, I love movies, but I want them to visualize how their life is different. And then we put that all into a word and a phrase. And it's amazing how much after they do that, last minute resistance can come up. Somebody will say that they're going to write a book, and then they'll change the word to, I want to write a book. And I say, hold on. You already want to write a book. Why are you taking a pill for wanting to write a book, right? So some kind of last minute fear oftentimes comes out. I've seen people drop the pill, lose it, crush it, because the subconscious is also scared about change. And then they finally take it. This is all just in the course of 10 minutes, swallow it. And then sometimes things happen immediately, but I just say, notice for 24 hours, usually 24 to 48 hours, if not immediately, some kind of change happens.
This episode of the Thrive State podcast is brought to you by the Thrive State Accelerator. The Thrive State Accelerator is actually a home course that I developed using the exact same techniques I work with my celebrity clients, CEOs, and executives on how to get them to the Thrive State. The Thrive State Accelerator teaches you how to master your 7 bioenergetic elements. That's sleep, nutrition, movement, stress and emotional mastery, relationships, our thoughts and mindset, as well as purpose. In this Thrive State Accelerator, you're also going to get a bonus module on optimization. That's how I talk about supplementation, peptides, all the optimization techniques I use with my clients to get them to the Thrive State. Now, for some of you who are just joining us for the first time, you guys might be wondering, what is the Thrive State? Well, the Thrive State is actually the energy, the epigenetic environment we give to ourselves, telling our DNA how to act and how to respond. And if we want optimal health, longevity, and peak performance, if we can master these 7 bioenergetic elements, our ability to have those 3 things that we just said, optimal health, longevity, and peak performance is at its greatest. And it also prevents you from getting chronic symptoms like brain fog, being overweight, feeling sluggish, acne, pain, all these chronic symptoms, as well as preventing you from getting chronic disease. So getting to that thrive state is really getting to that state to master being that very best version of yourself so you could show up for you, for your family, for your business, everything that's important to you. So go ahead, check it out right now at kienfood.com/accelerator and use coupon code podcast25 for 25% off. Now back to the podcast. Can you briefly talk a little bit about exactly what culture is to an organization or to a group?
Yeah, I love asking that of groups because I hear so many different answers. They'll say, it's the way we do things here. It's what people do when no one's looking. It's the vibe. It's our beliefs. It's our values. There's like 30 different answers. And I say, those are all right. But what defines culture, I believe, is what contains it. So if you take any culture, anything from the Navy SEALs to Zappos to a club to anything, what really defines it to family is what gets you in and what gets you kicked out. And the strongest cultures are very, very clear. You have to meet all these criteria and you have to pass these certain tests, right? And now you're one of us. But then the standards are also clear. Should you do this, this, or this and violate it, you are kicked out of the group. And people don't want that, right? So there are so many different kinds of cultures, but all the strongest ones are very, very clear on their boundaries. Yeah, I can send you the whole video of it. I literally, our mutual friend, Dr. Vu, Vincent Rodriguez.
Oh yeah.
He helped me by choreographing the 1 minute of my dancing because Saturday Night Fever. And so I did a coordinated dance, but then it's 70s style dancing, so everybody can really do it. And the key with it too is I put up the 1 minute timer, so everybody knew this is only going to be, you can do anything for a minute, right? If this was a whole long song, I'd get some rolling eyes. But had the minute timer, had the song there, had everybody stand up, got some people on stage behind me, and again, happy to share with you the whole video.
That's a great thing to note. And people who have been listening to this podcast really know I harp about state and mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, social. They're all connected. So if you could just shift one thing, you shift your physicality, emotional states usually type of follow for that. There's generally a signature of breathing, a signature of moving for almost every emotional state. And you could hack it the other way around too, is it if you get into a way of breathing, moving, standing, and being, you could shift that emotional state. It's really, really quickly. So thanks for reiterating that for the people who are listening. Of everything you've done thus far, what has been your best medicine?
The number one rule I have in the book about culture, the culture blueprint, is to co-create. Because I noticed that when any time anybody would get into trouble, they would be suffering alone constantly. And I've realized through my corporate life, through my personal life, it's usually when I go alone into my own head that it just goes into a dark place. And whether it be spending time with friends, or a therapist, whatever that is, having other people is absolutely key. I think we're entering and have been into a pandemic of loneliness, and how powerful that is. And the antidote is other people.
I hope you enjoyed those highlights from this week's Thrive State podcast. To hear the full episode of the podcast, you can listen at Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are heard. Now, if you're enjoying the content, please help this podcast grow by leaving us a review at ratethispodcast.com/Thrive State. Also, if you really want to get into the Thrive State, people ask me, where do I start or how do I get deeper? Well, here are a few resources for you. Number one, you can pick up 3 free chapters of my book at thrivestatebook.com. In addition, if you want to go a little bit deeper, get to meet myself and my team, and get some online coaching, we have an online course called the Thrive State Accelerator. It's the same material I go through to get my clients into the Thrive State. Go to kienbu.com/accelerator and use the coupon code podcast25 to receive 25% off. And yes, I am a concierge physician at the VU MD Performance and Longevity Clinic. I have a very small concierge practice, but if you or somebody you know may want to be a client, consider applying at kienbu.com/VUUMD. And until next time, remember always, always, always that you are your best medicine.